genre.
In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the Ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. As a podcaster, I spent a lot of time wondering if I could be back for Season 8. And then I realized I should be back for Season 8. And joining me are the amazing writers of Matt Conant and Lauren Cipollo. Did I get those right?
You
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
So, Lauren and Matt, is Jurassic Park a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
I think it will be, for sure.
It has certainly been sequeled a whole bunch.
Yeah, and Jurassic World was like a soft sequel remake kind of thing.
Something kinda, yeah. But not...
An argument could be made for both.
Yeah, I think it was set after, right? So it was still like somebody tried to make this park and we were making it better was kind of the gist, I think, of Jurassic World. So...
That's what they
was
thought.
Jurassic World the one where they brought back the Barbasol can?
Oh, was it?
That's a good question. I mean, there was the Lost World, so Jurassic Park, Lost World. So there's so many sequels.
There were, 3 in the original and then 3 more?
and then 3 Lost World, Jurassic World.
Yeah, so that's fun. We didn't rewatch all of them, gotta say, before
No.
this, because really the best one is the first one.
Yes.
It's the only one I've seen.
There you go.
Wow.
All right.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
And
that's
this was only the
impressive.
second time I've ever watched it.
Wow, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I only saw Jurassic Park for the first time about 5-6 years ago.
I'm only gasping because this is my favorite movie.
I've discussed it on the podcast before, but I didn't really have parents sit you down to watch a movie kind of growing up childhood.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is a rare exception to that where we started to sit down to watch it, and there's that first scene where the dude gets dragged into the Velociraptor cage, and I just start bawling, and my parents turn the movie off and never tried again.
Oh my gosh.
That's a shame. No, I had the experience of, this was one I saw in theaters at the time, and it was the first movie I saw 3 times in a movie theater because I just loved it. So,
I don't know how many times I saw it in the theater. It was many, many times.
But anyway, Matt, Lauren, welcome to Ideal Remake.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you both are before we jump into more dinosaur stuff?
Sure, go for it, Lauren.
Cool. Yeah. So I am a writer and illustrator. Matt and I are writing partners. So we've written a trilogy of science fiction novels together. And I have to say, inspiration for me falling in love with science fiction. Thanks, Michael Crichton, because I read Jurassic Park so many times and then was so excited when the movie came out. So that's definitely a part of my origin story. But yeah, we write for TV and we're designing games. So currently right now we're working on an RPG based on a graphic novel. The graphic novel is Stoker and Wells. So yeah, we're just writing a little bit of all of the worlds.
Awesome.
Mostly we write comedy, sci-fi, and or other genre content. So our trilogy of novels that Lauren referred to is called the Parallax Trilogy, and that all came out last year. #1 bestseller on Amazon in the science fiction categories. So we were very excited about that.
And you should be. That's incredible.
Thanks. And we mostly write beyond that for TV. So done some animation, done some live action. I wrote on Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is the one credit people have heard of. And that was a lot of fun also, helping with that. Speaking of reboots and things like that, that was certainly a show I grew up loving. Around the same time period as watching Jurassic Park, was lucky enough to be involved in bringing it back and then doing some writing.
I mean, that's pretty rad. And I like that it ties in, and I would assume that there's never been a Jurassic Park movie that would ever qualify potentially for the MST3K.
They're probably, they're too good. They're all at least high budget and owned by large corporations, which makes it very difficult to get the rights to them for Mystery Science Theater.
Makes sense.
That said, I'm pretty sure there are Riff Tracks versions of them where they kind of just, make an MP3 you can play along with the movie, and that is they've done that with everything. So I'm sure there are Jurassic Park versions
for sure. But great, let's talk about Jurassic Park. Like, you both saw this movie in theaters. Have you then since owned it on VHS, on DVD, on Blu, like every single time it's been like remastered?
Oh my God. So I actually taped off, like, I'm revealing how old I am, but like VHS off the TV, like a making of. So it showed like all of the, the animatronic dinosaurs and the CGI that they put in there and like the sound design. I warped that tape. I watched it so many times. So yeah, I've owned it probably in whatever form it came in. And we watched it, digitally yesterday. But, oh gosh.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, it was one of those like requisite purchases whenever the media upgraded. So we had it on VHS. My dad actually bought like an 8mm camera back in the day, like a tape camera, which was a format for like 5 years. I don't know, it didn't last, but like I know Jurassic Park was one of the few cartridges we had for that thing. And then definitely DVD, definitely Blu-ray, all of that stuff. And now we've converted all of our DVD and Blu-rays into a digital format and watch stuff on the Plex server. So Jurassic Park, that is where we watched Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. So.
I mean, that's fun. Like, normally I ask people what their like history with the movie is, and we kind of do a walkthrough of the movie, but it's Jurassic Park, so I don't think we need to do a walkthrough of the movie. The vast majority of the audience will have seen it and is wildly familiar with it at this point. Mm-hmm. So in lieu of that, I'm just going to say, what's your favorite fun fact about the movie Jurassic Park?
I have so many, but and people might know this, but one of my favorite things is that throughout the entire movie, there's only 15 minutes of CGI in the entire thing. They used mostly animatronics, so real, puppets. And it was one of those first movies that started using the computer generated images in it. But yeah, they used it very sparingly. And I think that's what makes it so good, is that it's not overdone, because even like effects now in movies are so good, but I don't know, like my animation brain, I went to school for animation. So I can see it. And there's still scenes in this movie where I'm like, that looks so good, because I think they used it sparingly enough that, your eyes don't get used to it and you're not like, oh, you're picking it out at every moment. But yeah, that's one of my favorite little fun facts.
I think so. I mean, you can tell, like, watching it now, in 4K and whatever, and having the ability to pause and stuff, and you can see it now that we're used to CGI, like, a little bit. Like the Brachiosaurus at the very beginning, you're like, all right, that's clearly a CG dinosaur. But the T-Rex that they built just looks amazing. It's so much better. Like, you can feel it every time it's there. So one of my favorite facts about this was that they built a T-Rex for Jurassic Park 1, and then I think they built a different, larger T-Rex for Jurassic Park 2. Lost World, and then eventually when they were done with the movies, they were like, what do we do with these? I guess we can make them fight. And I think they actually had a fight between the T-Rexes, like the animatronics people. So that was probably a lot of fun.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that one.
Someone was like, who won? And they're like, oh, the second one just destroyed the first one, because I guess it was made a few years later, so it was better animatronic. So
that's hilarious, and also a little bit disappointing. It's like, but that means it doesn't exist anymore.
No, it is gone. It got torn up by the other one.
Ah, well, died for a good cause.
Ooh, go for it.
I'm sorry, I get really excited. I thought of another fun fact. Can I give 2 fun facts?
Of course you can.
Okay,
There's a fun fact limit on this show.
Two is the limit. No, the other fun fact is that for the very iconic scene where the T-Rex is, you just hear the footprint, the big footfalls, and they're all sitting in the cars, and then the scene of where I think it's Tim looks at the water cup in the car holder, and it has those iconic like concentric circle vibration rings. That was one of the hardest special effects shots they've done, because they couldn't figure out how to make those concentric circle vibration rings. They actually had to run a guitar string underneath, like inside the car door, and like pluck it to get those particular vibrations in the cup of water.
Oh, wild. That is... Because, like, in my head, it feels like that would be so easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just, like, some like, you get 2 people to go outside the car and just jump at the same time.
Yeah. But no, I remember Spielberg talking about that shot and being like, well, you spent a lot of time trying to figure that out.
I mean, you can't say it wasn't worth it.
It's a great, like, there's so many shots in that movie that they're just so iconic and great, and you're just like, oh,
Right.
I'm like, don't watch this movie with me because Matt will tell you. You're just like,
Sounds
oh, it's so
you're
good.
the best person to watch this movie with.
Yeah,
I get real
probably.
excited about it.
Yeah, who doesn't want enthusiasm in their movie watching?
Yeah, exactly.
Community.
All right, good.
Community. But so let's talk about like how we can possibly handle like taking a movie that's as iconic and beloved and well remembered as Jurassic Park, a movie that by all accounts holds up when you sit down to watch it today, because it held up when we all sat down to watch it in the last couple of days. Like, obviously, I think that we need to, because like the big thing about the movie when it came out is it was a contemporary movie, so we'd have to bring it forward 30 years. But what else is important about this movie for our version, for our remake?
It's a good question. It's like one of the things you would have to figure out is like, it's a movie that doesn't work if cell phones exist in a lot of ways because I'm sure it happens with anything they have to remake. They are all separated and it's like, where are the children? Where are the,
No, but it works though because they're on an island. There's no cell phone towers
there's just
out there.
right. They just have to throw that line of dialogue in the beginning.
Right.
Like, oops.
Abandoned island off the coast of Costa Rica.
Yeah. So I guess you just do that. You do that throwaway that the action movies do so that you don't rely on cell phones.
Right.
Yeah.
They would have to upgrade those computer graphics, though. There's some pretty great 90s, PlayStation 1
Yeah.
stuff in there.
But fundamentally, like, you can... everything that Wayne Knight was doing, where he, like, kind of, like, interconnected all of the technology of the park and kind of, like, linked it into a single console, and then broke it. That would happen.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
literally does happen all the time.
Yes, I could 100%, like, is that, like, really you're just upgrading what the computer screens look like? I don't think there's a whole, like, that somebody could, network all of that together and write code so that it would all break at the same time. Could totally still do that.
We all remember when, like, the world's bank websites just went down for, like, 2 days.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was, like, I don't know, sometime in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think if you're dealing with weird, mysterious island with this company, I guess there was a company behind Jurassic Park, or it was just one rich, crazy guy.
I mean, Jurassic Park fundamentally is evidence of why we should tax billionaires. However,
Yes.
he's like, oh, I have so much money, I'm going to make a Jurassic Park.
Right.
Then maybe Hammond has too much money.
Yeah, maybe
He
so.
might have too much money. I like how he like tells that sweet little story about like, oh, the first attraction I ever made was this like little flea circus. And he's like, I wanted to make something real. And I'm like, you could have done any other thing that was cheaper. You didn't have to jump to dinosaurs. But no, he had to go to that next level.
Yeah. I saw something online recently where people were like, where we are with the state of the world and the billionaires running things right now. It's like, you know what? Just make Jurassic Park at this point. Like, I don't care. It's not going to be any worse than what's going on. Just do it.
Especially the Jurassic Park in this movie, it is contained on an island.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Right.
Right.
It's not bothering everyone. So.
I also like that the movie came out right about the time that science was slowly figuring out that dinosaurs were birds and that they were covered in feathers.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like a big point of like Grant at the beginning of the movie, like just shaming this kid for like, oh,
so
what?
good.
Velociraptor is like a giant turkey? And it's like, yeah, kid. And they'll cut you stem to stern.
So good. But you're right. That would be one thing that would have to be updated. Would be the look of the dinosaurs because so many of them are known to have feathers now.
Yeah.
They would. And like just this, like there's some silly things like the T-Rex face, like you have all the teeth are kind of hanging out like a crocodile, and they think that's not what they would look like. They would they would be covered a little bit more. So there's just all those like little nitpicky things that you could update now on how the dinosaurs look.
Would it still be scary with feathers? Like, are they still scary if they're birds?
Oh, I think they can be. If anything, I think that like because the scariness is the menace and the threat and the teeth and all of that. Like fundamentally, like all of the dinosaurs in this movie, with a couple exceptions, all kind of are the same dark tones. I think by giving them feathers, you give yourself the opportunity to have like these wildly colorful, otherworldly beings. Like they're dinosaurs, but in a way that we've never really seen them before. Like the bright colors of everything.
Yeah, like if you've ever seen a cassowary, like you can be afraid of a giant bird.
True.
Like they're terrifying.
Like so I'm from Tucson, and there's an ostrich farm like halfway between Tucson and Phoenix at Picacho Peak, and you can go feed the ostriches, and those guys are bastards. and are terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
male ostriches can kick people to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't even mention your biology background, Lauren, in your intro.
No, I was a zookeeper for many, many years, for like 16 years. So watching Jurassic Park also just makes me. I roll my eyes a little bit, more at the newer ones, more at the Lost World, especially the scene where Chris Pratt's character just like holds out his arms to the raptors and he's like, whoa, 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 and I'm like, that's no keeper would ever do that ever, like not with an animal that you were safe with, certainly not with a predator. So there's a couple of things that I go.
Wasn't
but
there
I think,
like actual zookeeper meme? Like weren't zookeepers across the country?
Oh yeah, we
doing
were
that
all doing it. It was great. It was really
holding
great.
up.
Were they?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
man.
It was, we were just going in with like silly animals that would never hurt us and do the same pose. It was pretty funny. But Jurassic Park, the original, did it pretty well. I think they err on the side of caution a little bit more. The raptor pens and all that kind of stuff. But
I tend to
there's
agree,
a little
but
bit of
like
stuff.
the way that like the actual tour part, where like when they eventually get in the automated trucks and they start going,
Yeah.
and whatever the frilled lizard dinosaur was that I don't think really
Yeah.
exists or we can't possibly know.
They did exist. We don't know that if it had a frill.
Right. Like we get to that enclosure and it's just like kind of an open enclosure, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
sure, like.
But it's like, it's the realest thing about zoos ever, though, because if you've ever like taken a safari thing, at any, kind of tram sort of zoo thing, you're going around, everybody's like, where's the animals? They're all like sleeping somewhere. Like
That part
it's
felt
so real.
100% true
Yeah.
to me. It was the
Yeah,
part where it
yeah.
was just like kind of an open enclosure. Like
Yeah,
there was nothing like
yeah.
keeping them in. Like they jump,
Right.
they're out.
I mean,
Yes.
they have like safari park. I don't think San Diego does it, but there's always a fence and whatever, even when you take the tram around. But there was. I mean, I feel like
Six Flags.
Six
did it.
Flags in New Jersey absolutely had just you drive through like what the lion area, like I don't know,
Yeah.
like, and they just can come up to the car and they're like, don't open your windows. Like, yeah, damn right you shouldn't. How is this allowed? Like, you should not have this be a thing.
You
like,
should
it's fine.
disable the windows.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should. It was.
Should make sure we cannot open these doors. And that was the other great. It's a line in the movie, which is great when Grant just like opens the door to get out, and they're like, we really should put locking mechanisms on the doors. I'm like, yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the the little kid who looks at the screen in the computer and was like, I get it. I understand how this entire technology works.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a CD-ROM.
We established that you're
That
a
was it.
hacker in one line earlier, so we know you
did it.
can do that.
So let's talk about our characters then. We kind of meet Grant and Ellie as they're on a dinosaur dig. Like, is there anything about that we would change or make different? Like, is there any reason to change those characters?
I think they have a pretty great dynamic. It is like, I don't know if it's necessary. Like, there are parts of me that want to explain everything away, but then there's another part of me that's like, it's an action movie, so just like let it go. Because Grant does some like pretty athletic stuff for just being like a paleontologist. Like, you just go out and I guess you have to have some sort of athleticism to like be out in the desert, but he's like climbing trees and doing all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
so like, do we want to explain why he can also kind of be an action hero? I don't know.
No, I don't
No.
know.
I don't think so.
He's not doing
That's
Yeah.
the sort of
crazy
thing that you would
things. Like, if
put
he,
in, like, if we had like a The Rock, where it's like, The Rock, what are you doing here being a paleontologist? Or,
Right, yeah.
Which,
yeah.
by
Arnold
the way,
Schwarzenegger, what are you over here working construction in True Lies or whatever?
yeah.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is always a great example of that. It's like, oh yeah, it's a tough day at work today. Like, at the
Yeah,
office,
I know it
wasn't.
you did not do
Not
that.
for you.
My favorite comparison with Jurassic Park in this case is the movie Rampage. If you have seen it or not seen it,
I've not.
it has The Rock as a zookeeper at the San Diego Zoo, and that is his job. And it's like and he's like a nervous, awkward zookeeper who's like afraid to ask a lady out. It's
way.
amazing.
I
It's
know,
so
right?
good. Like, you have to watch it for that preposterous setup.
I might need to watch it for that preposterous thing. What I was going to bring up is that in Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger is created to be an infiltration machine.
Right, he blends right in.
The most obvious person who's ever lived in infiltration unit.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, like, for the nature of like Grant and Ellie, like I kind of think that they sort of work. Like paleontology still exists. They're still desperately, like even more so, they're desperate for funding or whatever they can do to get the money to carry on doing the research.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
no, I felt like
it would
that all
totally
about.
make sense to me, if you had some people working on a project like that and some millionaire swoops in and is like, yep, we'll fund your project. They'll be like, we'll do whatever you want. You want dinosaurs on an island? Sure, that's fine.
Like you listen to ologies, and she always asks the like different ologists and scientists or whatever, like what the worst part of their job is. And I think 50 to 75% of them say it's like writing grants and trying to and just begging people for money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe it.
And I can only imagine the horror on their face if one of the people they've been reaching out for money just shows up on the dig and they're just like, oh no.
Right. Yeah.
We have to do whatever this person needs. Oh my God, no.
Yep.
I know. If anything, I think it's the Hammond character is like too likable. Like you like that guy. Like Richard Attenborough does such a good. He's so nice. Like he seems friendly,
he is.
and he's the kind of the villain. Like, but you want him to survive and live and stuff. So I feel like in terms of remaking, that feels like a place where there's a lot more room to like play where. You want to hate that guy off the bat, and they picked such a likable actor. It's tough to hate him.
And that character in the novel dies. Like he doesn't. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Anybody who hasn't read Jurassic Park, it came out. Published in 1993. So, yeah, he dies at the end of that. So in the he gets out a little bit better in the movie. So I would like Matt and I were talking about it. We were kind of thinking like, ooh, could we make a version of this where he doesn't? Yeah, he is less likable and he doesn't live at the end.
I feel like you kind of have to. I mean, like public opinion about people at that level of wealth has shifted.
Yes, it has.
So very much, I feel like he kind of has to be a mayor from Jaws type situation of like, no, this park stays open.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like he keeps talking about like the running gag he has the first act or two of the movie is how he spared no expense.
Right.
And I feel like that should absolutely be something that he keeps talking about. Like, I don't think you understand how much money I spent on this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's mine, and I don't give up what's mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a lot more likely and a lot more realistic if we're talking on crazy, demented billionaires, which we are.
Yeah. And I even feel, like they're talking about investors and stuff. Like he should be finding reasons why he wants these investors to, keep giving him money. He should be pretty, invested in keeping that park
like
open.
they kind of make the lawyer the bad guy, even though he summoned the lawyer there to help him.
Right.
So.
Well, no, the lawyer was there to like inspect because they that the first scene where the guy dies, they're like, we don't know, this seems kind of dangerous. So I feel like that wouldn't even happen today. They'd be like, some guy died.
Well, it's also like
how much money do you have?
The family of the guy who died is suing him for $40 million. And I'm like, even then, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot. And also, it's exactly the sort of thing that we know would get settled out of court.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only reason why he'd have a lawyer is if he's such an asshole that he's like, yeah.
We're
Like,
going to deny this
family
entirely.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, like I'll prove to you that everything's fine.
I will fight everything in court because I'm a monster.
Yeah, I will just say that guy made a terrible mistake and we're 100% safe.
Right.
Like, fundamentally, he didn't secure the Velociraptor cage to, like, the fact that it could move at all and wasn't bolted into the sides.
I don't know, what were those lights there for if we weren't indicating that we were secure, guys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, like, it's not like we hadn't invented locks and adhesives and whatever in 1993.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not paying anything. I'm Hammond.
Right.
Yeah, that feels like the part of Act 1 that would most dramatically shift is, making him less likable.
I mean, if anything, like, they keep trying to ramp up his likability to the point where, like, he spends the entire rest of the movie worried about his grandkids.
Right.
Yeah.
Where are their parents?
We asked that question. Well, Matt asked that question. He was like, why would they? I think there's like one throwaway line where where Hammond's daughter is like going through a divorce.
Yeah.
So I think that's like I think that's where they try and like explain that away, but still.
Yeah,
man.
just like, we're going through a divorce. Let's send our kids to live with crazy grandpa on
Sure,
the...
grandpa's
put our kids on a
plane by
a
themselves.
series of
Plane.
planes
Yeah.
to a private
Yeah.
island.
On a helicopter.
Yeah, which does, granted, seem more like a thing a billionaire could get away with. Like, just,
Yeah.
we're gonna just,
True.
their whoever is watching them and is responsible for them is guiding every
Yeah.
plane they take. But
I mean, at that level of wealth, I'm sure he owns his own plane
Yeah.
/ planes.
yes, probably. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a
Fun
weird one.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
Now we just hate him. We're just like, oh, that guy.
That makes sense though. Like for
Can't stand. Yeah, it
should
does.
hate
like
him.
for a movie like this, like that is kind of the big difference. And we also have to talk about kind of the level of technology. Like
Yeah.
kind of the way they bring the dinosaurs back still sort of works for me, of like the mosquitoes captured in amber, brought back. I don't think we need to extract the DNA, but like using that DNA, being able to like are able to get into like the fossilization record, and it is fossilized DNA, but then because we're then able to sequence it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if anything, gene
Yeah.
sequencing's become much better since the movie, and it's much more likely to work. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been like weird experiments where they're trying to like breed chickens like to have claws and stuff. So like people are working on
do chickens not have claws?
like, oh, I'm sorry, like on their wings, like little hands
Oh.
on their wings and stuff. They're like trying to bring more like, dinosaur like traits
Will
back
that-
to
Oh,
Make them more delicious?
yeah, that's the main thing I care about, honestly.
the jury's still out on that.
I thought
one.
you were going to bring up the people who were trying to bring back the woolly mammoth.
Yes, that's where I thought you were going.
Oh
to.
yeah, yes, there's people who for sure. They're trying to do that. Like, yeah.
But that's a difference of
I
like
agree.
millions and millions of years. So like
And like mummified DNA versus fossilized DNA.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably differences there as well.
Like, I think you could still rely on the mosquito and amber because that is isolating the blood as opposed to just like the creatures and everything. All of that kind of went away. But the mosquitoes captured the blood and then were in the amber, so it was preserved in such a way that it is still fossilized, but it is the fossilized specifically the blood as opposed to whatever is left of the bones. Everything else would have worn
Right.
away.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the part that I'd need to talk, like the part where you'd need a scientific consultant at this point is like, how, like, has it gotten so much better that you would be able to get 100% of the DNA from some blood? Because in the movie they don't. They get like most of it, and then they use the throwaway of frog DNA as the reason that they now are able to reproduce, right? Because they're trying to make all females,
Yeah.
and instead they are reproducing on their own, and they find the eggs and stuff because of the frog DNA is kind of the implication that some part of the DNA was not exact to their specs.
And that never
Yeah.
really comes. I assume it comes up in like Lost World in the sequels, where like 'cause
Yeah.
the dinosaurs are still on
Yeah.
the island, like the
Right.
monsters are still there.
Yes.
We just got some of the people out.
Yeah.
exactly.
We found a couple
So,
of,
like,
of
yeah.
weird points where the plot points just disappear. Like the main plot works
Yeah.
beginning to end.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're getting to this later, but there are do we go scene by scene like through?
No.
Okay, I can jump around. That's okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Because like, well, but back to the frog thing.
Yeah,
of, like,
yeah.
There's like sitting here watching the movie. It's like I don't think there's any way we would get away with like, well, we use frogs. It's like, but birds exist.
Right. I guess it.
Why wouldn't we take it from birds?
You're right. It was still like that era
Yeah.
of they're mostly reptiles with a little bird in them, and now we're in the like
Yeah.
no, they were pretty much birds.
But like frogs aren't even reptiles.
That's true too.
No.
You just went way over
Yeah,
someplace
left
else.
field. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like-
I think they just needed that, being able to change sexes thing.
Yeah.
So we just went there.
And there's got to be a bird that can do that.
Yeah. What animals can do that, Lauren?
It's a lot of lower like amphibians and stuff. I don't think there's a whole lot like fish can do it. Yeah. So it's a little bit rougher as you get into the more complex creatures, but we don't really need it for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
No.
Like they had the lysine contingency, which is still a thing that you could do, if you leave amino acids out while you're, building your animals and stuff. So I think there's still plenty that will make it work. I don't think we really need to worry about the breeding part.
Yeah, it's weird to say that we can trim some of the fat in Jurassic Park, but
Yeah.
that does feel
Yeah.
like something that it makes sense in the moment, but like we would be making this in a world where Jurassic Park exists, and it's like, hey, how do you make them not breed? And it's like, well, they're all female, so that's not an option.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's funny because like, well, if they were birds, then that would actually work then because birds don't change sex. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, they'd all be female and they can't breed, so we don't have to worry
Right.
about it.
But yeah, it doesn't.
So then, how do we get away with the life finds a way thing?
That's true. We wouldn't have that line.
Yeah, we lose the
anymore.
whole line.
I guess life finds a way because Dennis Nedry messes it up.
Kind of, yeah.
Right. I guess it's like, it felt like they were seeding some parts just to show the ineptitude, right? Or the like arrogance of the people running the park. Like, well, they didn't account for this or this or this, and there's 3 or 4 things that are going wrong in the park that have nothing to do with the overall plot, like the animal being sick, like they sort through a triceratops species at some point for like poison flowers, and like that doesn't go anywhere.
Oh yeah, do we ever find out what was poisoning the triceratops?
I know what was poisoning them because I read the book, but it's funny. Yeah, like that was a scene that always got me because they start that line and then they never, go back to it again.
Like I wonder if
anybody wants to know,
film it and cut it for time, or did they just not care, or like why even bother including
I have a
it?
feeling they could have cut it for time, but I have a feeling it was mainly just to get Ellie separated. Like we needed a reason to have Grant be with the kids and Ellie be somewhere else, because why else would she do that?
And they didn't include the final shot
that's
on
why
the
I feel
chopper where she's like, by the way, I found the answer to the Triceratops.
Yeah, I know why the Triceratops was sick. Spoiler alert, the Triceratopses were eating the berries because you see there's like one shot of her like looking around and she's looking at the bush and there's like a little pile of rocks that's underneath the bush. So in the book, the dinosaurs, some of the plant eaters will ingest rocks. There are some, lizards that will do this too to help them digest their food. They just digest rocks and then they help mush everything up in the stomach, and then they will throw them back up later. So that's why they never found any of the berries in their poop, because they would throw the rocks up later, but as they would swallow the rocks, they would get the berries too, and that's why they were getting sick. So we just never get that last little bit of information for some reason.
Does the dinosaur getting sick tie back into the main plot in the book? Okay,
No.
it's just extra.
We
Nope.
can make it, though.
Yeah,
Maybe.
how do we
I don't
make it
know.
is the question.
It's been a
If we're
long time.
remaking it, we got to tie all the threads
I
together.
mean, fundamentally, like they could be breeding these giant avian monsters and like trying to do brain science to like make them more malleable and controllable, and then but like all these extra chemicals are being introduced, and that's kind of rewiring the brain of like different drugs and medicines and stuff, like make people more irritable or do this or do that. Like there's no like I don't see that there's any reason for us to just be like, well, there was a storm, so now all the dinosaurs are out and they're angry.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if we're doing a zoo, there's got to be something where they're intentionally trying to keep everything muted.
Sure.
Like
For sure. Especially I think later movies have, pterodactyls and things that they've created, and they stayed away from like flying dinosaurs in this one, but because obviously they could get off the island. But I could see these days feeding something like the equivalent of like an invisible fence, right? Or you just program something into their brains where they reach a point and it like starts to affect their brain and like, or make them uncomfortable, and they're like, oh no, I have to stay near the island. Like there'd probably be that kind of science that you could build in where it shows that they think they have that under control too.
If we want to get even more current, we could certainly have, because a lot of these dinosaurs are being bred and they're just like a lot of like instinct and shared species knowledge is passed down generationally. So in order to like train the different dinosaurs to do different things and establish certain patterns, there would have had to have been older dinosaurs to teach it, and that obviously couldn't exist. So it'd be interesting if they then made like artificial dinosaurs, robot dinosaurs and stuff that kind of like trained the behaviors into the young ones, and then that way the young ones, as they grew up, trained those behaviors into the new young ones.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a great point, because somebody's got to teach the first baby dinosaurs that are
They
hatched
like almost get
what
to that
to do.
because they've got the little claw that like turns the eggs around in the one scene. So you just have, but then Hammond's like, no, it has to impress upon me. I have to be the mother of this thing.
Which never ended up being relevant at any point.
No, not at all.
No, he definitely.
It's the sort of thing where
they definitely still.
That would be.
all
That's
of the
actually a
people.
scene
It
that would
didn't
make
matter.
sense to add, right? Is like one of them is coming at Hammond like a raptor or something, and Hammond like it recognizes him, and it because of that imprinting process, like it leaves him alone, and so everyone's like, how is Hammond gonna die in this if the dinosaurs aren't gonna kill him? Like,
I think that's a scene that we need. But part of the reason why I brought up robot dinosaurs is A, awesome, and B, that gives us something for Nedry to actually sabotage.
That's true.
Because
Sure.
if those are kind of the like guide light dinosaurs of like the things that are kind of guiding the behavior, you all of a sudden program them to do something different, all of the rest of the pack or the herd or whatever is going to follow. And if he messes with those dinosaurs, then all of a sudden now you've got a catastrophe on your hands, and he can make it out no problem.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
will work for like the
Yeah.
herd dinosaurs, but not for like a lone dinosaur like a T-Rex. But even still, a T-Rex, sharp tooth, or what was it? Oh no, I'm blanking on
That
the
was Land Before Time.
The Land Before
but
Time.
the sequel. What was the baby sharp tooth?
Oh, I don't know.
Chompy.
Oh,
Chompy.
Chompy.
Chompy still has to learn from Mama and
Yes.
Papa Sharptooth.
Yeah. No, that is a great thought. That would be really fun, and that makes my like animal behavior brain happy as well. So, yeah, I really like that. Though I do agree, like the one part of the original that I don't think would change at all, because this would still be relevant today, is him stealing embryos and trying to, sell them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Like that would 100% still happen.
I was very
It would be
impressed
a
that
good
this
motivator.
this spy rival capitalist organization had handed him something that was perfectly sized for these embryo containers that he'd never seen
True.
before.
Yeah.
But fundamentally,
Yeah, exactly. Other than that little detail.
but like he doesn't even need, like, as fun and cinematic as stealing the Barbasol can and the embryos is, he doesn't need to do that, especially because it like if we're treating it as mostly data of like
Yeah.
it is still fossilized DNA, and it is reading and figuring out the DNA from the fossil records. So he
Right.
doesn't need to steal embryos. Like he really only needs to steal the information.
Right. It would only be
we
if
could
they're like
have-
trying to beat them to market or something like that, I guess. They want the grown-up dinosaur as fast as possible, I guess. But
Well, that brings me to like, because like literally Samuel L. Jackson's job could just be encoding and like encrypting and making sure it's all just like stays with like. One of them could be hardware, one of them could be software. Either way, like there needs to be way more people in those departments.
yeah, there's like 5 people
Oh,
on the
heck
whole
yeah.
island.
But like, I think him stealing embryos is fun because you get the Barbasol can. But like, he also could be stealing eggs. There's no reason for him not to steal eggs.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I get. Yeah, the only thing I can think is that it's just easy. Like they're smaller and easier to transport. But yeah, like if we don't have the storm as a problem, then that makes you don't have the same like kind of rush.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be. I can be a little more careful about what I'm
But
doing.
if he's stealing
'cause I have a little
eggs,
more
eggs need
time.
to be incubated very specifically.
Right. I
Right.
like...
Yeah, that's
and
true.
it's like, it's funny because I, go into this, it's like, I would never remake this movie. This movie's perfect and I love it. And then you tear it apart a little bit and you're like, okay, I can see, like, the fact that there's like, the investors, like, the scientists, the lawyer, everyone is coming, the grandchildren are all set to come on the same day as Nedry is planning to
and then
take
it
this
turns out
over, and
that
the
they
storm.
send the rest of their staff home. So
Yeah.
they've got this skeleton crew of
Yep.
4 people.
For
and
the
it's
biggest
like, what
day.
are you doing?
Yeah, like, why would you do all this
Yeah.
at the same time? Like, the storm, all right, I'll give it some movie credit for that, but, like, wouldn't Nedry plan this for any other time? Like, then when
Yeah.
there's going to be all these people there? So many variables.
Yeah, they don't treat Nedry very well in the movie. They're like, oh, well, like, literally the moment where they do, like, the slipping sound effect when he falls in the mud, and it's like, oh,
I know.
you're just making fun of him because he's overweight.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's kind of a lot of Wayne Knight's career, I guess, has that issue, but...
But yeah, so what else do we need for, like, the nature of the movie itself? Like, so let's take another step back. What are some important parts of Jurassic Park that absolutely need to be in this movie? And I'm going to turn that to Lauren
Yes.
first.
Yeah, the T-Rex scene with the car. I'm gonna admit this is, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but like I tear up like when I watch that. That is so great. Like every part of that, it's so perfectly action movie with a giant dinosaur in it. It's like everything that I love. I don't think I would want to change any of it. It's just, I know we know that like T-Rex's vision probably wasn't based on movement or anything like that, but just shot for shot, like that scene where, he comes, over the wall and and the kids are screaming, and it's so great. Like I don't think that I could change any of that. that scene. That would have to stay for me.
I don't think you need to change any of that scene. I would say why we don't need to have their vision is based on movement.
It doesn't really...
Everyone's vision is based on movement.
I know. They're not... I guess the only time it wouldn't work is when it's like he has Lex in front of the Jeep with him and the T-Rex is like right in front, like his nose is right there and he blows Grant's hat off, and it's like, again, great, love it. I love, visually it looks great, but like he would just chomp them because he can smell them.
That's
right
exactly
there,
it. That's what I was
So
going to
there's
say. Like, I don't think there's any reason for them. I mean, flares and stuff for the security pack, but like, I think they could have like smell packs or like just some meat or something that they tear open, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, it's this giant bag of jerky, and it's like, that's gonna smell everywhere, and any sort of predator would just be like, what is that? I want it. Give it to me right now.
Yeah.
And so that's what you can use to distract it, but like eventually, like it's gonna eat through that pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And I think any predator is going to get excited about something that's bright and moving quickly. So I still think the flare still works great. But, and if it's dark, any predator that has like its eyes that are in front of them, it's going to be looking ahead. And I think, I don't know if they talked a lot about whether dinosaurs have night vision or not, what their night vision is like. So that could be helpful. That's another thing that can, come into play too, that does happen at nighttime.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think most of that scene, I think, holds up like really well. And I just think it's so fun. And you get scared. Like there's a giant T-Rex right there, like just doing its T-Rex thing. And you have to try and survive. Like I think that it's just so good.
Yeah. How do we feel about Muldoon?
Muldoon,
he's a little tropey.
Just a little bit.
Those socks, I don't know.
He's
like you gotta have your crocodile hunter
right
on the giant crocodile island.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I mean, you need that character for sure. Like you need somebody who thinks they know what they're doing and has a little bit of credibility. But yeah, he was a little too safari. But
I didn't really necessarily mind anything about his character. The only thing that I turned to my friend and was like, Ellie got away. Why is he still out there hunting velociraptors?
Right.
Why didn't he also follow Ellie?
Go back.
I know. Oh, another part that I love there too is that, Ellie she turns the power back on and she gets outside of that shed and she sees Grant and she's like, run! And then she just runs up to him and like hugs him. I'm like, you should still be running. Like there's a raptor. Like don't stop. Like you just told him to run and then you stopped running.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's a couple
Run, but towards me, into this hub.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, happy to see you and all, but don't want to get eaten by a raptor.
All right, so I feel like there's a couple of things that we need to go over, because some of the most interesting things about this movie and the most fun things about this movie are the kills.
Mm-hmm.
But we've now seen all of those kills already.
Right.
So I think we need two really good dinosaur murder set pieces.
Okay, to replace the... Yeah.
We don't necessarily need to kill the lawyer on the toilet.
Right.
I feel like there's got to be another good way to take that guy out. Especially because he abandons the kids and is a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Like, there's so many other ways to make it more interesting.
Yeah, and like I think the dinosaur was specifically following somebody else, and they just cut to the guy on the toilet. Like,
it was following Malcolm.
Yeah, you're right. And so you're like, where's Ian Malcolm? Like, we need to watch the lawyer die, I guess, but we don't.
Yeah.
Like, you lose Malcolm for the next like 5 or 10 minutes until they just find him lying down. So I guess he escaped by lying down or something.
You know what I think we could do?
Yeah, well, he got 9.
Like, if we're having scent repellents or something in the car, something to keep the dinosaurs away, like if he grabs it and takes it for himself to like repel the T-Rex, of like, this is staying away from me, it's not going to eat me because I smell terrible, and he takes it and is moving away and has taken it away from the kids, exposing them but keeping himself safe. I mean, I'm kind of stealing a moment from Kong Skull Island, but like there's the moment where he's moving away and he thinks he's safe, but instead of eating him, the T-Rex just stomps on him or smacks him with the tail and does something else. Because
or give it like one line earlier on where it's like these repel T-Rexes. Unfortunately, every dinosaur has a different repellent or something like that, where like the thing it's actually really attractive to this other dinosaur you're not expecting to come up behind him and eat him while he thinks he's safe. So
it's the whole like wolf pee thing to keep bears away, but it's gonna bring in a lot of wolves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Like, I feel like that's a cool, interesting way to, like, take out take out Gennaro. Gennaro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they even say his name out loud in the movie.
To take out Mr.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lawyer.
The lawyer.
Yeah.
And then, but we also, like, probably should kill Hammond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how should Hammond go?
In the book, he dies a pretty, like, coward's death. Like, he falls down, like, a ravine or something, and he breaks his leg, and he can't get out. And just a bunch of little tiny dinosaurs, compies, come along and eat him. So he gets like, eaten alive, basically. Which is pretty
That's
terrible.
pretty terrible, but that's kind of how Nedry goes.
Yeah, like, he dies in a kind of cowardly fashion, too. So, we could definitely... I mean, I like the idea, and Matt, you both kind of brought it up of the dinosaurs, like, imprinting. He thinks that the dinosaurs have imprinted on him. And he kind of, is a little too, confident in that. And, or, like, it could be any one of those things. Like, Nedry, messes with the robot dinosaurs, so Hammond thinks that all the dinosaurs are on his side, but, Nedry's done something weird, and so he's like, nope, I can make sure that everybody calms down. And he walks into a center, into a group of raptors, and they tear them apart.
You're the one who would know this. Are there any species of birds where the young will eat or kill the old? Of, like, there's a replacement thing of, like, oh, you are now... not as strong as you once were. I'm going to replace you as the alpha of the pack or something.
Yeah, that, like, I would have to do a little bit of research on that. I know that, like, between siblings, birds will definitely do that. If there's, like, a weak link, they will definitely kick them out. But for parents, that's a good question. I know that that'll happen in bugs a lot. But yeah, with birds, there may be one out there. But that would be great too, where they're just like, yeah, you're not
like
some kind of, like, maybe like a flock bird or something, where flock species that has kind of a head, a leader, and they have to, like, take them out.
I would assume geese are just assholes generally.
They are. Geese and swans especially, because they're big. Ooh,
yeah,
they're not nice.
So, like, I would assume it's something like that, where, like, the first time the dinosaur, like, sees Hammond and stops, it's because he's able to stand big and tall. But, like, the second time he's hurt, so he, like, tries to stand big and tall and limps a little bit. And they're like,
yeah,
weakness.
and he's like, nope.
And then they get him.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's just, like, a great, like, arc for Hammond too, where he's like, oh, I'm the big, strong, I'm the rich guy, I control everything. And then, oops, the second that something goes wrong.
Yeah.
That's the how of how he would kill him, but it's not the why. Like, where would he be where he would be in a situation where he's even exposed to the dinosaurs like that? Because he's mostly protected the whole time. What would he be going to defend?
That's true.
Like, how would he be going, like, I spared no expense, I'm not going to waste that money, where he would go out of his way to put himself in danger to, like, protect his Scrooge McDuck pile of gold.
Well, they do. Like, the raptors get into the visitor center.
Yeah, eventually.
At the end. Like, everybody's, like, all, jumping all over the skeletons and stuff. So, he just doesn't seem to come out during that time.
Conveniently
everybody else is out.
every time.
Yeah.
Conveniently hanging out with Malcolm, I guess.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because, like, fundamentally, we want him to, like, die because of his hubris, but the whole island is his hubris, so, like...
Like, what's
it's
the
hard to
perfect
find,
spot?
like, a specific moment.
Is there a version of this where he won't leave? Where, like, everybody's like, we need to get on this helicopter, we need to get out of here, and he's, like, just so sure that he can fix it that he doesn't leave, and then that's his undoing.
Or maybe there's a version where he, like, if he thinks that these dinosaurs imprinting on him is a good thing, if you just show, like, a few, like, something he's doing with the eggs that's, like, seems a little cruel or, like, unnecessary, like, I don't know what that might be, but, like, where he's like, no, this is to show them that I'm the alpha in the pack or whatever.
Oh,
and then,
I got it.
Okay. Do it.
I have an idea. So here's my pitch, especially if we, like, have the, like, the robot dinosaur guides as the, like, the leaders of the pack. What if he's very confidently like, no, those raptors, the T-Rex is a threat. I'm going to get these other predators to take them out. I am going, because they've already imprinted on me, I'm going to shut down the robot and then get them to follow me to go attack the thing. But in shutting down the robot, he shows them how to take out the alpha. And so then they do the exact same thing to him because they just follow the leader.
All right. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be like, they're supposed to be, raptors especially, you're supposed to be intelligent, because they could just be like, at this point, they're like, we're tired, like, we want to do our own thing. We don't need you to tell us what to do.
And I feel like it would have to be the other kind of dinosaur, because like raptors are what, the size of golden retrievers?
In reality, yes. There is, like, you just,
That's the
Deinonychus
one.
were a similar type. They're 6
Yeah.
feet tall and have the claw, but it doesn't sound as cool as Velociraptor.
I don't know. I think
guess is why they
Deinonychus
didn't
sounds
use
kind of
that one.
cool.
I think
I
it's
don't
cool,
see any
but,
reason not to
you
call
know.
them Deinonychus.
It was fun.
Yeah,
I'd never heard of
sure.
a velociraptor of all the species, like, until this movie came out. Like, I'd heard lots. I like read books on dinosaurs and things. I was really into them as a kid, and like every other species that's in this, I recognized and had heard of, and somehow velociraptor.
Ranger Rick never
Well,
covered
'cause
it.
they're
No,
little.
didn't seem to. There was even like in the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia had like a kids program over the summer where you could learn about like being a paleontologist and stuff. And I went to that. Like I remember learning songs about dinosaurs and things, and nobody mentioned velociraptors in any of that.
They weren't, there's a whole, class of raptor-like dinosaurs, that have the little claw. And I just don't think they're the most interesting of them because they're little.
Did we know they were little when the
they have a
movie
cool-
came
but
out? Did they just they embiggened them
Yes.
for the movie?
Yeah. They embiggened them, yes.
Well,
they did.
they had a noble spirit.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Embiggen's the smallest dinosaur.
It embiggens them all. Anyway, so what other things do we need? Like, we've kind of discussed around a lot of the different aspects of the movie, because fundamentally, like, the core of the movie is fine. Like, oh, there's an island, there's dinosaurs on it, we're gonna go to that. And then things get wonky. And we've kind of given ourselves some other, like, technological means of kind of shutting everything down. So I feel like what we need to start doing is I do think we should start talking about our cast, and that will kind of like solidify everything into place, especially with how I envision Malcolm, who we haven't really talked about at all.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, we
But
haven't.
I'm happy to start getting into cast.
Sure.
So that means we got to start with, I would assume, Grant. Grant and Ellie, really, but like let's start with Grant. Let's start with you, Matt. You're at the top of the Zoom. Who do you have for Grant?
We have Donald.
So, I guess I should ask:
yes.
is your list together, or do you each have?
We
separate
made
lists?
a co-list. We saw not to put more than one person on a list, or it was going to get very long.
Yeah.
We do have some extras.
We feel
have
pretty
some
good
alts
about
for some of these, but we didn't.
Fair enough. Usually it's one per person, so like I'll have multiple guests. But yeah, great. If you've made this simpler and more streamlined, I'm not mad at it.
All right, we'll see. We've
So
got
who did you both have for Grant?
We went with Donald Glover. We thought that would be an interesting
Gotcha.
choice. So, like, about the right age, able to do like the comedic beats would land, the dramatic beats could also land. Like, very versatile, and like a likable protagonist, right? Someone you would want to root for throughout this. So, and I buy him as
Absolutely.
a paleontologist.
Yeah, I think that works. My Grant is very similar. I went with Sam Richardson
Oh, okay.
from The After Party, from Veep, from
Okay.
I Think You Should Leave.
All right.
Like a comedic guy, but like around that age, and just like can kind of have the vibe of like, okay, I don't really understand what's going on, but like we'll roll with it. I guess let's figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can see either of them really hating kids,
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, for
which
sure.
we didn't talk about, but I do think we
Yeah.
should still have the kids in the movie. It's not Jurassic Park without the kids.
Yeah.
It is fundamentally a dinosaur
agree.
zoo, and I like as much as everyone would enjoy that. On the surface, you say it's for kids.
Yeah. And the kids are like the
Of course.
main, you have to protect the kids. Like that's a part of
Yeah.
the story. So I think
Right.
as iconic as the T-Rex scene is with the car, like the scene in the kitchen with the kids is right up there. Like
Oh, for sure.
so
Yeah,
like
it's
finding
a
a way to
great
do that a
scene,
little bit differently where you can still have the shots like you think it's going to grab her and it's a mirror like off of the other. It's just some genius shots and layout and choreography, I guess that is, that you'd have to find. Like, I'd be interested to figure out how to replicate that scene without it being a kitchen. But anyway, that's kind of back to
Where would you
plot.
put it?
I know. Where would it go if not a kitchen? Yeah, I don't know. Is it like a theme park?
If you
Yeah, to have-
if you want to make it even a really more dangerous place for it to be, you put it in the server farm.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Because like
man.
as they start messing up servers, they start taking down the security systems for other things.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
That would work well.
But yeah, so let's
All right.
figure out who we want to pair. So for my Ellie, I really only know this actress from one thing. I've really only seen her in Pitch Perfect, but she's very charismatic, very fun, and has kind of like the bubbly like joy that the Ellie that Laura Linney was. And that I went with Brittany Snow.
Okay.
And you might think Sam Richardson and Brittany Snow have never worked together, and that's not true.
Huh.
They are in a movie together from 2020 called Hooking Up.
Hooking Up. All right.
Okay. Well, they've already. Already.
Yeah,
have
they've
chemistry.
definitely met.
They definitely know each other. Perfect.
They have seen
Yeah,
each other. Have
do
been in the same room.
exist.
So I was like, that's fun. She's fun, charismatic, and I bet you could give her some very specific lines about ancient plants, and she'd be able to deliver them and also be charming while she does it.
Okay.
And that's kind of what you want.
Yeah.
Lauren, who did you two have for Ellie?
We had a hard time with Ellie because of that kind of like bubbly kind of personality. She does need to kind of work off of Grant. But in the end, we came up with Emma Watson. Because I feel like she's enough of like a nerd, like she can pull off the nerd, but she does kind of have that kind of like light in her eyes. So we thought she might be good. Another one that I did think of was, and she's a little bit more, I like her for like the nerd aspect and like her look was Rebecca Ferguson. She does not have, especially not the part that she plays in Silo. She doesn't have that fun part.
She's usually
That's a
very
little bit
dramatic,
harder
yeah.
to pull out. So that's why I think Emma Watson is a little bit of a better
I
fit.
think that's probably true. You know, it might be fun.
Yeah.
If we do Sam Richardson, Emma Watson.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I like that.
Then that brings us to Malcolm. Who did you two have for Malcolm? And
this
also,
is-
what's their job?
Okay. What's their job is a great question. But I think, and like, why was Ian Malcolm there anyway? Like, what was his, in the original movie, like, why is he present at this thing? Like, he's a
He's a different
an
expert, so he is the third expert that they
expert
get.
on chaos theory or something.
Yes.
All right. So, fair enough.
Yeah.
In that case, you could make, well, let's go with who it is. We went with, this is my favorite choice of all of the choices we made, Kumail Nanjiani.
Got it. Okay.
Would be,
Why Kumail?
because he has that same kind of energy, the like confident and also like jumping back and forth between being able to be confident and being able to be awkward and nerdy. So you've got either,
He does sell nerdy better than Jeff Goldblum does.
yes, that was the thing. Like,
Shows up in his
Yeah.
leather jacket and his leather pants to a
we were like, what's the
tropical
I'm like, you're
island.
not-
yeah, we're like,
a
what's the
bad guy.
vibe of this character supposed to be? Like, he's both supposed to be a nerd and be real sexy. Like, which is strange. So, but I think Kumail could do it because there's, especially like new buff Kumail, like since the Marvel movies, he's suddenly, it's like, all right.
He could do the shirt open scene real well.
true.
He'd look great. That would also have to stay as we were
Yes.
talking about
I mean,
iconic
yeah.
scenes.
You have to give that scene to someone. Yeah. And
You
try
do,
it.
but I feel like you have to get to it in a different way. Like, it
Yeah.
has to be surprising. Like, I feel like he has to get knocked out,
Yes,
and that's
yeah.
kind of how he, like, raises himself up to, he's like, all right, I'm awake now. What did I miss?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got,
Yeah.
definitely.
For sure.
And I feel like he could just be like a professor or something, right? Like, is that what Ian Malcolm is in the original? Like, does he teach? I don't think they say where he's from, but I feel like
Yeah.
a professor, like a grad school professor type would work for that character.
I mean, theoretically, you could also have him be, like, the sort of person who is the futurist kind of thing of, like, all right, if this exists, then what happens?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just an author
Of,
or
like,
something.
Grant and Ellie are coming from the perspective of looking at the past. He's the perspective of looking to the future of, like, okay, if there is a Jurassic Park, how will that affect everything else? Like, what is good and bad about there being a Jurassic Park? I also very much leaned on the nerdy flirt idea, but I decided to double it.
Okay.
So Jeff Goldblum in the movie is very strongly flirting with Ellie in the whole movie. And I was like, well, that's fun, but what if he was also flirting with Grant the whole time?
Nice. All right.
Of like, just like very much flirting with both of
Yeah.
them, but also very much a nerd wearing glasses.
Okay.
And if we're gonna be honest about the sort of person who could really pull off that character, it is Dan Levy.
Oh, yeah. All right. That is very much the vibe. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know if he would. I don't know what Dan Levy looks like without a shirt, but like you could certainly lean into it in the moment too.
Oh, yeah. Whether or not he looks great or not without
It
his
still
shirt,
works.
it's gonna work.
It's
Either
true.
way, it's still gonna be a
But
great
yeah,
scene.
like that's kind of the vibe of the character because like yeah, he is the cool scientist.
Right. Yeah. Like, yeah, Jeff Goldblum's almost playing Dan Levy, like, when he does this,
Kind
so
of,
it sort
yeah.
of works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my first castings where I was like, well, that's the idea I have. It's like, oh, flirt, but as a character.
Yeah, that's good. I like that one.
Because we both like really like this one, we can come back to it when we reach the end to see, like, depending on who gets more.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to
That's...
cross anything off on this one.
All right.
But let's talk about Hammond.
All right, cool.
I wanted a little bit of a tougher Hammond. I think, made my Hammond a little bit older. It's a very specific kind of character, but I was like, well, if you're going to have the charming billionaire who also has the potential to be a real asshole, Christopher Walken's kind of right there.
We almost went there.
We
Yeah.
thought about him. He was one of our
That's
options.
good. That means we're
for
probably
sure.
going with your choice for this one because we never landed on one we loved for this. The same
Oh,
way.
really?
All right.
I think ours
Who
is
was
pretty
it?
good.
Tell me.
Jeff Bridges.
I mean, yeah, Jeff Bridges is excellent. Like, there's no reason...
Yeah.
Like, I potentially am more drawn to Jeff Bridges because I think Jeff Bridges kind of covers that. He is still sort of... the only way I can imagine him is playing his character from the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
But, like, if you give him, like, a different kind of person to be, like if you think that he is Big Lebowski Jeff Bridges and it turns out he's Iron Man Jeff Bridges, like, I think that's interesting.
That is actually
Yeah.
to see, like, the sort of, like, laid-back stoner billionaire type turn into, like, no, actually a really bad guy, sort of.
Yeah. He's just he's very disarming. Like, he's got a great smile. Like, he can be very charming and then also turn pretty dark.
Yeah, so, like, I very much think that that's the correct casting
All right.
because, like, you go with Jeff Bridges and, like, you see him flip that switch and that's what leads him to go full aggressive and get the other dinosaurs out. But, of course, it's that leads him to then be the target and get killed later.
All right. I think you've convinced
Fair enough. But then the next one I have is Muldoon, who I have written down as Clever Girl Man.
That's about as much. I don't think we ever hear his name out loud either.
No, they say he does at one. I think he calls him by his first name though.
Yeah.
When he says, like, I forget what his name is, like Ray or something. He's like, can you please go get my grandchildren?
So yeah, clever girl guy.
Who'd you have?
So this one we put as Dwayne Johnson because people will expect him to live.
I have absolutely done castings like that before where it's like, it's a surprise that this person dies.
Yeah.
Like, I think when I did Clue 4, 5, 7 years ago at this point, like, because at that point, like, there was all the talks of, like, Ryan Reynolds is remaking Clue, and it's like, you got to make him Mr. Body because it's Ryan Reynolds. You're expecting him to be in the whole movie, and then you just off him right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think he dies in Act 3, right?
No, he dies pretty. Mr. Body.
No,
It's before Act
No,
Muldoon.
Mr. Body dies immediately.
Yeah.
Muldoon.
Oh, Muldoon. Yeah, Muldoon doesn't die till almost the end.
But he also doesn't need to be there towards the end, so you could kill him any time, particularly.
Yeah, I feel like he's like
I
an
feel
early
like
Muldoon and the lawyer are good, interesting Act 2 deaths.
I think so.
I also went with someone who you love to see. He's like, oh my god, this guy's here, and it's great. And it's like, great, this guy's here, and that way it's even more devastating when he dies, especially if he's the expert. He's the one that knows stuff. He's the animal trainer, which is skills that we need right now.
Yup.
But if he got taken out, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And I went with someone who, in every single movie I've ever seen him in, he just carries himself with an air of expertise, and that's Benedict Wong.
Benedict. I have to look him up.
He is Wong in Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's also in Annihilation. He's in The Martian.
Right.
Yeah. He's good.
When he shows up in things, he's like, Benedict Wong's here? We got this. And also, he's just a very, very fun, good actor. And it's like, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. I like him.
And he's very charming while also being very stoic, which is kind of the sort of vibe that you want from an animal wrangler, you would think.
Yeah.
I don't know that he kind of has the, like, crocodile hunter kind of vibes that they necessarily were going for in the first movie, but I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Right. No, I don't think it needs to be Crocodile Hunter vibes.
Yeah, it just needs to be somebody who, like, knows what they're
Yeah.
doing.
So I would push us towards Benedict Wong.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that.
The next person I have is the lawyer.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted someone who can be charming, but mostly can play kind of skeezy. And, like, this guy's very good. He's very open and is just a phenomenal, wonderful actor. And I gotta have multiple Sams in this movie, so I went with Sam Rockwell.
Okay, yeah. I could see that.
Once again, it's a situation where it's like, oh, it's Sam Rockwell. he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kill him.
Yeah.
Like, you have him go full
Yeah.
coward, full whatever coward characters he's played, because he's played a bunch of them. Like,
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, whatever character he played.
Yes.
But, like, his characters from Seven Psychopaths are also nuts, and just, like, stuff like that.
It's true.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just thought he'd be kind of silly and funny, and I liked that.
Oh, I like that. Galaxy Quest,
That's it.
he's a
That
coward
is
in that
good,
too.
correct.
But, like,
Yeah.
he's the red shirt, so he's the coward for a funny reason.
He has every
He knows-
every reason to
He
be.
knows who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great choice. I like that one a lot.
Who did you two have?
We went with, especially because, well, in my brain, we're losing a Seinfeld actor, so we have to add a different Seinfeld actor. So we went with Jason Alexander for this character.
I mean, that's not bad. I feel like Jason Alexander's a good pull. Like, I think that'd be very funny.
I think he can definitely do
Yeah.
skeezy lawyer, like 100%.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you like that first moment when you see him and he's like weirdly standing on this plank being pulled across a
Yeah.
river, and you're just like, oh, buddy. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out of your element.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Jason Alexander totally works for me. That's funny.
All right. Awesome.
That brings me to Nedry.
Mm-hmm.
I gender swapped this character.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay.
So I can tell you about who I have. Basically, I want like a comedic genius.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like kind of the fitting the kind of similar sort of vibe, but like it's a combination of kind of her character in Spy to how she is in The Heat, where she kind of comes off and presents herself as kind of incompetent, but is in fact hyper competent and like and very, very shrewd. And so like Melissa McCarthy would nail this character.
That's
I
funny.
think.
Yeah.
This is
For
Nedry?
Nedry.
The
Yeah,
Wayne
what-
Knight character.
Yeah, I thought of I thought of her first
Yeah, she was actually on our list for.
yeah.
on our list, but we did go with somebody else though. So that's interesting that we both came up with the same one.
Yeah.
Who'd you have?
I thought he would fit really well. Reese Darby.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Reese Darby.
He just has that like I like he feel that one scene where he's like I'm gonna go to the the thingy, and he's like really nervous like that. I thought of him immediately, but like I just feel like he's got like a fun kind of manic vibe
Yeah.
that would be fun in
Yeah.
that role.
But does he have like a shrewd like I'm gonna get these guys for every penny that they're worth? I always think of him as being like kind of the
sweet-
werewolves kind of guy.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I could see him doing it. I can't think of another role where he's done it.
I feel like if we're like he was great in Our Flag Means Death. Like I feel like he
That's
can
true.
do more than just that crazy guy. So I would give him a chance at this one.
They're both great choices. I like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
both very good.
Let's see where we land on Arnold, maybe, and then we'll
Yeah.
come back around.
Yeah, tell
Yeah,
me who you
yeah.
have for the Samuel L. Jackson character.
So we gender swapped this one,
Oh, okay.
and very similar thoughts to what you had, but we went with Kate McKinnon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we were thinking about like Ghostbusters and
the
like the
scientist
kind
like
of
types that she's
Yeah.
occasionally played, but
Another job held by a black man, taken away by a white woman.
that's right.
all right.
Man, that is very funny though. Of like going and making like that's a very different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But she plays a very good expert, a very good nerdy expert. Like she is very good at that.
Yeah. So
I went with kind of like who could kind of carry that gravitas and is also a phenomenal actor, but like we don't really get to see him do all those things because he's just such a large man. I went with the actor Winston Duke.
I have to look him up too.
He's the Jabari tribe in Black Panther.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I bring him up on the podcast all the time, so I'm sure anyone listening is sick of it. But like, I also saw him in a Sundance movie called 9 Days, which Benedict Wong is also in. But he's so good, and it's such a nuanced, interesting performance that like I'm just like I want this person to be in more things. I think he's such a phenomenal actor that I'm like, no,
Yeah.
be the star you were born to be.
He would be a very imposing coder.
Yeah, that's true.
He is a beefy dude.
It's true. That's why I kind of think it's funny. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
man, I could.
Oh, he's 6'5".
Oh my
That's
gosh,
great.
that is great.
Reese Darby, I think, makes a very compelling argument. Like, I'm more than happy to go with Reese Darby.
Okay. Yeah, and I like Winston Duke too. So
The only other actors I have left are the kids. Are there any other roles that I did not cast? Or that you did?
that was our list too.
No, that was all right. We didn't even bother.
The kids were two kids. I don't know who they are.
I've said it before in this podcast, I'll say it again. Like, if I'm not on a list for how often I've had to Google children,
Yeah.
then that is a failure of the system. I should be on that list.
Yeah. I just don't know any child actors, I don't think, these days.
And it's always so hard to find because it's like, oh, this child actor's great 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. If they could only stop aging, then I could know who they are.
The kids I found, like, my Tim is 11 right now, and my Lex is 12 right now.
Okay.
Which, if I'm going to be honest, both of those are probably a year or two too old.
All right.
But, like, for the moment, it's fine. For my Tim, I went with an actor named Cameron Brummer. He's in Lessons in Chemistry. He's in Space Baby, something called Elkhorn. He's 11 years old.
Okay.
He's a little nerdy boy.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. That's what you're looking
That's
for.
what you're looking for.
Spindly arms and
Love
legs.
it.
And then the girl, she was young Princess Leia in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
All right.
And she was also in Bird Box and something called Dear Zoe. She's 12 years old. Her name is Vivian Lyra Blair.
Okay. Well, you win those two because we didn't have any.
Great.
So.
Yeah.
Great, I did it.
You did it.
Yeah.
Default.
We're definitely taking
default.
your suggestions on that one.
Two sweetest words in the English language.
There you go.
So then that brings us back to Malcolm. So I will throw it to you. Would you rather have Kumail Nanjiani or Dan Levy?
That's a really tough
This is
one.
hard. These are two really good.
It's the vibe you want for the character. So, like, it's your defining vibe. They're very different vibes. One is more leaning into the flirt.
Yeah.
One is more leaning into the nerdy. Which is the vibe
Yeah.
that you want, that you think will play best with Emma Watson and Sam Richardson? Because I think both will work.
Yeah.
They're both phenomenal performers. They're both extremely
Yeah.
funny. They're just different.
Yeah, they
so
are.
who do you think would be the correct choice?
I'm going to stick with Kumail. I think it's Kumail. I'm going to...
Great.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I am. Like, I just want to, like, I think he would love that. Like, also, like, just thinking of him playing that role, I think yeah, I'm going to leave with that one,
Great.
too.
And that's who we have. So that brings us to writer and director. I have separate writer and director as opposed to a hyphenate. What do you two have?
Yeah, we also went with separate, even though both of these people tend to be writer-directors. So
Yeah.
whether this would happen, this feels unlikely, but
It would be interesting.
I would love to
I'd
see
love to
this
see it.
weird
But
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
I mean,
it
that's
would
what makes it
happen.
ideal, right?
yeah.
Branding.
Exactly.
So then tell me about your writer. Who did you have to write New Jurassic Park?
So new Jurassic Park, to make sure it was a little bit different and not a generic action movie, we went with Jordan Peele.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We have different different writers, similar vibes.
Okay.
Why Jordan Peele?
I think just because I've never watched one of his movies where I have been like, oh, I saw where that was going. Like, it's always something, like, if someone could put a new spin on Jurassic Park where you could not expect every scene after every scene, which I feel like is the problem with the Jurassic World series and any of the sequels, is just like, yep, played out the way we expected, and we're done. Yeah. This one he would take the time to make sure that the script was surprising and fun, I think, at every step. So that's why.
That's a strong, compelling argument. I have a very similar argument for my writer. She doesn't have as deep a filmography as Jordan Peele does, but she's also a horror writer.
Okay.
And she directed her movie as well, I think. But she's very good at putting people in interesting situations, killing them in interesting ways, and also like some very interesting body horror. And that's what I went with. Coralie Fargiat. She wrote The Substance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, if you want someone to take Jurassic Park and like do something a little bit different with it, you got to give it like a different style of writing.
Yeah.
So I think we both coming at it from the idea of horror, because fundamentally it is a fun adventure movie that becomes like a disaster movie.
Yeah.
I think horror makes sense.
No,
Yeah, I think
agree.
so. We both picked that out. So, and I would love to watch both of their takes on this movie.
Yeah. They'd
would
be
be.
different.
There would be some deep cut
would.
dinosaurs in The Substance one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So for my director, I kind of went with the like expected director, because like I really only has the one movie that I thought really fit this vibe, because he directed some live action Gundam movie and he directed Kings of Summer, but more importantly he directed Kong Skull Island.
Okay.
And like if he can do Kong Skull Island, well, that does kind of translate well to directing a Jurassic Park movie. It's a crazy adventure where people die on an island.
Yeah, for sure.
I went with this director's name is Jordan Voight Roberts. That seems interesting.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, totally.
But I'm more
Yeah,
interested
that's definitely-
to hear who you have.
We chose Taika Waititi for ours. I enjoy his directing, and I think he did a great job. Thor movie, like that is like a fun adventure, and he put his spin on it, and I just would like to see what he would do. I don't think he would turn it to comedy, but there are like what I love about Jurassic Park is that it's an action movie, but it's so fun. Also, like, you're scared, and there's really cool tense scenes, and there's dinosaurs. So it's like, I feel like you need a little bit of that kind of, I'm going to say wonder. It's not really what I mean, but like just a little bit of that fun. And I think that he could bring that, like, make sure that stays in this movie if he was to direct it.
No, I think I agree with that. I think for a Jurassic Park movie, like, I normally try to get, like, less well-known actors, but it's Jurassic Park. Like, you got to get, like, the big names for it. And I think Taika Waititi's a great choice. Like, I would push us to Coralie Fargiat and Taika Waititi, especially because, like, I often try to get, like, a female writer for movies that have primarily female casts, and this is that kind of movie. Because all the dinosaurs are women.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Yeah.
No, I like that. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
I would love to see like Coralie bring somehow body horror into Jurassic Park. Like maybe Hammond is like, I can beat them if I inject dino DNA into myself, and then he tries to fight them
playing
off.
with dinosaurs and monsters and stuff as it is anyway.
Yeah, that would be really fun to see. Like that weird.
Any of the experiments that go wrong.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's right. You give it like the alien resurrection room.
You can see all the like
tanks of weird failed dinosaurs.
All the failed clones.
Your jar of Snopes.
Yes. Awesome.
But yeah, that's Jurassic Park. Let me take you through our cast list. Grant is going to be played by Sam Richardson. Ellie is going to be Emma Watson. Malcolm is going to be Kumail Nanjiani. Hammond is going to be Jeff Bridges. Muldoon is going to be Benedict Wong. Gennaro the lawyer is going to be Jason Alexander. Nedry is going to be Rhys Darby. Arnold is going to be Winston Duke. Tim will be Cameron Brummer. Lex will be Vivian Lyra Blair. All of this will be written by Coralie Fargiat and directed by Taika Waititi. That is Jurassic Park. You gonna go see this and buy it on Blu-ray or whatever version of movies comes out in the future?
Future.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Amazing.
Well then awesome. We did it. Despite the odds, we have remade Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Matt, Lauren, thank you both so much for being my guests today. Now's the time for plugs. Tell people about Parallax again, where they can buy it, how many copies they should buy.
As many as you can afford. You can find the Parallax trilogy on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle Unlimited as well. Comes in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Our audiobook narrator is fantastic. There is a bundle that you can get where you can get all 3 ebooks for $1. That is 3 books for $1. And also you can get all 3 audiobooks for 1 Audible credit. So there's like really no reason why you shouldn't read these books right now. But you can find them on Amazon if you look up Parallax and one of our last names. They should be pretty easy to find. If you want to see anything else that we're doing, cinevore.com. Matt, am I forgetting anything?
Say what Parallax actually is.
Can I get you to spell
Cinevore.com?
Cinevore.com?
Cinevore is like a creature that consumes film. So it's CINEVORE.com. And I will say that Parallax is about like a space epic. So if you like those and thrillers and mysteries, it is set 300 years in the future, and the corporations that run everything are exploring new planets. And as they discover new planets, they decide to, instead of terraforming them to be like Earth, to gene splice their citizens to match the environments of the planets. So you end up with all of these variants of humanity that then there is a new splice that is discovered in the works, and people are disappearing, and perhaps someone is behind it, and so our protagonists are thrown into that mystery of finding these missing people.
People are getting turned into Taco Bell?
Yeah, basically.
Taco Bell is people?
Something like that.
Yeah. I like to describe it as like Mass Effect meets Becky Chambers. So if you like, lots of good character stuff, but also, fights in space.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to like it.
Dope. And if people want to follow either of you on social media?
I am Cinevore or Cinevore Film on pretty much everything. So, Instagram and BlueSky and all of that stuff.
Yeah, any social that I'm on, it's just my name, because there aren't many Sopolos out there. So as long as you spell it correctly.
And how do you spell it?
Yeah, Cipolllo, Lauren Sapolo. You can find me.
Awesome. If anyone is interested in following me, I am on Instagram at Ideal Remake, or I am on BlueSky at Sam Gasch, SamGasch, or you can reach out on the Dueling Genre Discord channel, which has a link in the show notes of this very episode. But yeah, thank you both so much for being on this episode. I will end this episode, the first episode of season 8, the same way I end every episode of Ideal Remake. What is your favorite quote from the movie Jurassic Park?
My favorite quote from Jurassic Park is when Lex is freaking out and she's saying, "They left us! They left us!" And Grant goes, "But that's not what I'm going to do."
Good.
So great.
I have to go with life finds a way.
Excellent. Both quotes that may or may not be in our version.
Yes, perhaps. We'll see.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Podcasting.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Yay! Thanks for
Lots
having
of
us. This
fun.
was so much fun.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.